Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
One thing that we might consider with the new Democratic majority is, naming whatever prison he ends up with after Donald Trump. Give him a building that his name can live on in perpetuity.
Then tacky gold letters and gold leaf.
We'll put good and stuff.
Donald J. Trump Correctional Facility in gold leaf, right? Gold everywhere. Fantastic. Okay, Carl, so, speaking of incitement of violence, hopefully Jack Smith has asked again. There has got to be a gag order. $10,000 is not going to cut it, right, against Donald Trump when he is, this is witness tampering 101, what he said about Mark Meadows, right, who is clearly flipped and is clearly going to be a witness, right?
Yes. Look, he sees the walls closing in, right? Everybody is flipping. If there was a television show about his post-presidency, it would be called Flipper, but that's already taken.
What did we just say yesterday, you guys, by the way? These people do not have remorse, Carl. We were, joking about Jenna Ellis's tears, and people are like, oh, you're mean, she's crying. It's like, they don't mean it.
No.
Every single one of these January 6th defendants has cried in court, and then they get out of prison and they go back to doing the same, right?
Yeah.
One of them at the back of the courtrooms yelled Trump won after he got sentenced.
You see everybody in Alexandra Pelosi's documentary.
Yes. Yeah.
They don't care. They just go back to loving Trump after prison.
Yeah. On her social media account, Sidney Powell has continued to push claims that the 2020 election was rigged, and prosecutors in Georgia who brought the case against her were politically motivated. The newsletter published by her Dark Money group has shared articles arguing Fani Willis extorted her guilty plea. Oh my God.
She could lose that.
But, and Jenna Ellis, by the way, Carl, for all her blubbering and apology now, if Donald Trump had paid her legal bills, she'd still be lying. She would continue to lie, right?
Right. No, precisely. And the fact, everybody's been saying this interesting thing about Sidney Powell. They're like, her Dark Money Group X sent out a newsletter. Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know about the personal motivation here, right? She has a dark money group, which means this is part of the grift for her.
Yeah.
And so, the grift that keeps on grifting needs to be maintained at all costs. If that means entering in a guilty plea and then talking, a different game outside of court, that's exactly what she and others will do. And so that's why they have to have the book thrown at them.
Yeah, I can hear right-wingers talking about us calling other people grifters when you're mentioning Mooks for Carl and we're mentioning Free Speech TV. Let me just say one thing. It's not to enrich ourselves. It's to save democracy. Exactly. In Carl's case, is to act as a public servant, right?
Today is
you shut up and go run for the school board if you don't like
the entire campaign. So if people can go to mooksforcarl.com,
yes.
It'll help a lot, and go to Free Speech TV and support.
Yes.
This work is critical to the functioning of our democracy, right?
Yeah.
Sharing this information, building community, getting to know one another so that we can, give each other strength, because it has been a very dark several years.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get brighter if we keep fighting and keep pushing. Right.
Well, Jody made the point on Twitter that, it's like, we can freak out about what a right-wing lunatic Johnson is, and he is, but as you were saying, none of that will matter if we vote, if we get out. He's got very little time to do much damage. We have the Senate and the presidency, but we have got to have a blue tsunami in November.
Let's be clear about what this guy's abilities likely are. He is not going to get anything done as Speaker.
Right. Well, that's their point as a party, is to get nothing done except Hunter Biden's D-picks.
Even if he wanted to, it's not like he is some magical fairy who can, whip the Republican caucus into shape and get them to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Mark my words. In a year's time, we will be having another conversation about how this guy couldn't get the job done either, and he's no longer Speaker.
Yeah. See, that's how bad I am. That's how lowbrow I am. I thought you were going for a George Santos joke when you made a magic fairy joke, but okay, you wouldn't do that. That's me. Okay, let me just finish. Sidney Powell over the weekend shared a post complaining that, quote, Trump can't even have attorney-client privilege. She also shared a post that said a new survey found many Democrats believe cheating affected the outcome of the 2020 election. Just complete horse, right? And this is what's fantastic about this now. This whole he can't have attorney, but he said you're not his attorney.
Right.
Right. So they can't have it. Trump has run out of what do they call it? He's run out of runway out of this legal stuff, I think.
No, look, this is a guy who burns through his counsel and then badmouths his counsel. Like, he doesn't have friends and allies who are loyal to him because he's never been loyal to anybody but himself. And so, these people are not actually loyal to him. They're loyal to the grift that they get from being associated with him.
Yeah.
And that's why they're flipping, is because they know that, that what they've done on his behalf has gotten them in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And this is just the beginning. I mean, we don't pause on it because things just happen so quickly. The former chief of staff for the president has flipped on the former president.
Yep.
Let that sink and settle and stew for a minute, because that's the only thing he's been thinking about for days right now.
Yeah. By the way, to your point about voting, Carl, starting at the school board and all the way on up, our friend Brooklyn Dad Defiant, who joins us in hour 3 today, said House Republicans just elected an election-denying, abortion-banning, LGBTQ-hating extremist to be Speaker of our House. We have work to do, folks. 2024 is coming. We keep joking around playing burning down the house. That's what the GOP is doing. But what are the words that resonate in that? Our house. Yeah. It's our house. Right? I mean, it's this guy. Jody was commenting on it. Just really, God made you speaker. Mm-hmm. I mean, here we go down the Handmaid's Tale path again, right?
Well, it makes you wonder, like, which rib from the first Republican speaker designee was the one that, like, God ultimately created this guy with. Look, he is going to be an albatross for the Republican caucus. Yeah. In the year ahead. Once people stop focusing on the 2023 election and supporting me at mooksforcarl.com, we have a majority to save, to get in the House of Representatives and to save in the Senate. And it begins by letting people know who this guy is. Because if you thought Kevin McCarthy was bad, if you thought Kevin McCarthy's attack on women's reproductive health and voting rights and standing up against sensible gun violence prevention, if you thought that was bad,
all our friends on Twitter, Allison Gill said Republicans just anchored themselves to an election-denying, anti-choice, and Donald Trump. This will not go well for them in 2024. But as you always say, if we vote, Politics Girl, our friend, said it was unanimous. They voted unanimously for an election-denying, national abortion ban, Christian extremist. There are no moderate Republicans. There is only MAGA. This is it, America. Understand what's at stake and help us fight it. That's all we can do this morning, right? Well, we can put on our own T-shirts, but, if we don't get out and vote, right, what is that?
Well, the way you know if you've done enough is if on Election Day, the day after, you can wake up rested, you haven't done enough. Right. Like, you need to be exhausted on the morning after the election and wondering, I wonder who won last night, because I was so tired from making phone calls and knocking doors and donating money and talking to friends and neighbors that I couldn't stay up to on the election.
And the issue is
for our democracy.
The issue is not just Donald Trump. Carl, I know I'm happy clappy liberal, but I do not believe, like many people in my heart, that he is going to be either the nominee or president. By the way, Chris Christie, what do you know for a fact, Chris? Everyone eventually agrees that I'm right. Chris Christie, who I got into a chest pointing fight with backstage at Bill Maher, he just said what I said. He said Donald Trump's going to prison yesterday. And I literally got into a fight with him backstage. I said, he's going to prison. And he's like, we don't send former presidents to prison. I'm like, well, this one's going. And I poked him right in the chest. And yesterday, he literally said, Donald Trump is going to prison.
He needs to send you flowers.
Thank you.
I agree.
I would like, maybe one of our sponsors would say a little more.
Yes.
Maybe he could, buy some Bombas socks or some Dr. Marty's.
By
way of thank you.
Volcano flowers.
Yes, or donate to Free Speech TV. We're in a Halloween fund drive.
Right.
To keep truth on the air.
Or donate to mooksforcarl.com.
There you go. There it is, my first drink of the day, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Many of you know my story. I stopped drinking wine for 3 years during COVID, during the lockdown as part of a health reset. Now I drink wine in moderation, but this is an amazing new product. I've always believed in probiotics. And Z-Biotics, check this out. You drink just one of these. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I am using this, and I feel great in the morning. I don't have to worry. If I have an extra glass of wine, I still feel great in the morning. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. I've always had acid reflux problems. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. All I know is it works. It is ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic. Go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.